Hi, I'm Gabriel, and this is Learning English Path. And in this lesson, I want to wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day by teaching you what St. Patrick's Day is and teaching you some English vocabulary related to St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day! And in this video, I'm going to teach you a little bit about the history and the meaning of St. Patrick's Day, okay, what it is, how people celebrate, why we celebrate it, and then I'm going to share with you some vocabulary that is key to St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so let's get started. St. Patrick's Day is an Irish holiday which is celebrated more and more all over the world by lots of different kinds of people. It's very popular now in the United States and also all over the United Kingdom. And in various other parts of the world, it's celebrated as well. It is a national holiday in both the Republic of Ireland, which is the bigger portion here, and in Northern Ireland. So they get this day off in both of these countries. And this is on March 17th, which is today, right? It's the day I am publishing this video on YouTube. It might not be the day you're watching it, but it's the day that I'm publishing it. And now, like I said, it's not only celebrated by Irish people, it's celebrated by people all over the world, but simply by wearing green and drinking alcohol. You know, in various places in the world, they will think of any new excuse to go drinking, right? And a funny fact that I just remembered is that back up until the 1970s, all pubs, right, all bars in Ireland were closed on St. Patrick's Day. It wasn't until the 1970s when pubs started opening on St. Patrick's Day, and that's when it really took off as being a drinking holiday associated with drinking, because Ireland has a lot of different kinds of unique alcohols, right? And you know, it's funny, this is a picture of the New York St. Patrick's Day parade, because even though it's an Irish holiday, the biggest parade in the world is in New York, but there are also parades in Dublin and in Belfast and in other parts of Ireland and other parts of the world as well. But the biggest one is in New York, because there are a lot of people who have their family lineages from Ireland who now live in New York. Actually, I think there's about 30 million people in the USA who have their heritage from Ireland, or they're connected to Ireland in some way, right? But now for the history. So it's supposed to all be about the patron saint of Ireland, right? The Catholic saint, Saint Patrick, who is known as the patron saint of Ireland, who was born in the late 4th century. And according to his writings, he was born not in Ireland, but in Great Britain. And then he was kidnapped and taken to Ireland and made to work as a shepherd for 6 years in Ireland, right? He was basically a slave there, working as a shepherd. and he heard the voice of God in his dreams, according to his writing. And after he heard the voice of God, he escaped back to Great Britain. He studied Christianity in Great Britain and became a priest. And then, once he became a priest, he returned back to Ireland and converted many pagans into Christians. And that's why he's known as the patron saint of Ireland, right? He did a lot of good for the religion of Christianity, especially particularly Catholicism in Ireland. And that's why he's holding this shamrock. We'll get into that in the vocabulary section. And the Bible, right? And it wasn't until actually 400 or 500 years after his death he died in 460, some sources say in the year 460 AD. Some sources say a little bit later, but he did die on March 17th, they say. And about 500 years later, they started celebrating that day as St. Patrick's Day, because a legend grew out of his history, saying that he drove all the snakes out of Ireland, right? He came back to Ireland and he was able to drive all the snakes away from Ireland, off of the island. Saying that there's no evidence that any snakes have ever existed in Ireland. Okay, there are no snakes in Ireland right now, and there's no evidence of them ever having been in Ireland. And so this is likely symbolic of him converting pagans to Christians, right? Because the snake is a famous symbol or archetype, you might say, of the Bible. So they started celebrating St. Patrick's Day on March 17th. So let's go through some vocabulary. Another term for St. Patrick's Day is St. Paddy's Day. All right, it's just another way to say it. So you can also say that, St. Paddy's Day. If you don't know, by the way, why ST means saint, what AST means, it means saint. It's a shortened version for saint. It could also mean street, ST, but in this case, it does mean saint, okay? It's an abbreviation. This is a shamrock, and Ireland, you will see this symbol everywhere on St. Patrick's Day, especially, but also as a symbol of Ireland itself in many cases, because you can see these little leaves everywhere. They're called shamrocks. And you see here, there are 3 leaves generally on a shamrock, but if you get one with 4 leaves, right, it's a 4-leaf clover. 4-leaf clover. And this is supposed to be lucky because they are rare. Most clovers or shamrocks have 3 leaves. You can call them clovers or shamrocks. But if you get them with 4, then that's supposed to be a sign of luck and good fortune. This is a leprechaun. Leprechauns are folk characters, you could say, right? They are little people in Ireland. Many folk stories of leprechauns, okay? And because there are many legends and there's a whole mythology on leprechauns in Ireland, this is also a common symbol of St. Patrick's Day. They're not saying St. Patrick was a leprechaun, but it's just kind of merged in with the day because it is associated with Ireland. Also, horseshoes are considered to be lucky. So people are supposed to put horseshoes on their door on St. Patrick's Day in order to be lucky. Now, to be honest, I think it's supposed to be the other way around. I think the horseshoe is supposed to be 180 degrees swiveled this way, because I believe the legend is that the demons hide in the door frame, and so by having a horseshoe there, they're supposed to slide down the horseshoe. This one is turned upside down, I believe. But do your own research on that. I could be mistaken. Maybe I'm remembering incorrectly. All right, this has come to be a symbol of Ireland, and especially St. Patrick's Day, because it is a very famous Irish alcoholic drink, Guinness, right? It's a bitter beer, and you will see a lot of people drinking pints of Guinness on St. Patrick's Day, along with Irish whiskey. Irish whiskey is known to be a very strong kind of whiskey, similar to Scottish whiskey or Scotch whiskey, right? There's a debate about which one is better, Irish whiskey or Scotch. But to be honest, I don't drink a lot of whiskey myself. I don't drink it at all, in fact, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. But you can try it if you want and let me know in the comments. All right. And fiddle. A fiddle is a very famous Irish instrument, very traditional Irish instrument. So this is also associated with St. Patrick's Day. You see how St. Patrick's Day basically collects Irish symbols and puts them together on one day, because this is the day where people around the world outside of Ireland basically celebrate all that means Irishness. A pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. This is related to another legend in Irish folklore, that you will, if you reach the end of a rainbow, you will get yourself a pot of gold. And of course, this is a parade. This is a parade happening, I think, in Ireland, I believe in Dublin. And on St. Patrick's Day, there are parades all over the world on St. Patrick's Day. Like I said, one big one in New York, and also in Dublin, in Belfast, several others in Ireland, and elsewhere in the world too. All right, so do have yourself a happy St. Patrick's Day if you're celebrating it. And make sure you check out my 101 songs to learn English with down in the description. I will send you a free PDF document, and you will get 125 pages of activities on 101 songs you can learn English with. It's a fantastic resource for you. And you'll also get my 5 words of the week every week in an email. And please do subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Give it a like and click the notification bell for more lessons. All right, keep learning, my friend, and keep going.